virology to try and better understand what's going on with these viruses and the vaccines they're pushing. I discovered a paper written in 2017 by two Italian scientists, husband and wife, Gatti and Montanetti, and they have been testing vaccines since 2004. They've tested 44 vaccines in total, and they have found that these vaccines are contaminated with inorganic nanoparticles, including all sorts of things like heavy metals, lead, etc. This leads me to believe that vaccines have been causing immune responses for many years, which may be presenting as influenzas and other illnesses, and that the more of these symptoms that appear, the more of the vaccines are given to try and prevent them. It appears to me that there's some sort of a endless loop between vaccines and illnesses. Vaccines cause illnesses, illnesses demand more vaccines. We really need to get to the bottom of this. However, during that research, I discovered something even more worrisome. In April, Bill Gates' Gavi published an article on their website stating that Marburg was the next big pandemic that we have to worry about. Marburg is a relatively rare hemorrhagic fever. We've only had 16 cases since 2005. What does Bill Gates and Gavi know that we don't know? Why would this be a threat? Why would the World Health Organization and mainstream media be publishing articles about this rare disease? When I researched further, I found that they've already developed a PCR test for it. This is very worrying in that they can now prove that, like for COVID, that anybody might have Marburg with this test, and it would be hard, like the current PCR test, to disprove it. They've also published, I found that they've published papers claiming that Marburg is spread by bats asymptomatically. This is something that's been disproven during the COVID pandemic. If you do not have symptoms, you do not have the virus, therefore you cannot spread it asymptomatically. There is no such thing as asymptomatic spread of a virus. That has now been accepted. However, they have published papers to the contrary. The most worrying development that I found is that they are fast-tracking a new ricin-rich vaccine called Rivax for Marburg. Rivax contains ricin, which is a toxic substance that was used in the terrorist attacks in the subways in Tokyo to kill a large number of people. Why would they put such a dangerous toxin into a vaccine? It's very, very strange and worrisome. But how would they start this pandemic of Marburg without actually spreading it? Quite simple. They've already started it. The vaccines injuries that we're seeing at the moment from COVID vaccines include bleeding and clots, which are very similar to hemorrhagic fever. When they give the booster shots to the people in the nursing homes and the hospitals who are prisoners, and to the children who will be in close contact in schools, they will cause further bleeds and clots, which will appear as hemorrhagic fever. They will test with their new PCR test. They will say that it's Marburg. This will explain the excess deaths that we're seeing in hospitals for them. It will be a cover-up. They will say that deaths in the hospital are not due to COVID vaccine injuries, they're due to Marburg. There will be a very, very large, sudden panic that will ensue. It will be mass hysteria like we never saw before. People will rush to get anything that will protect them. The Rivax vaccine will be rushed through and given as an experimental vaccine in the same way the COVID vaccines were given. However, one big difference with the ricin vaccine is that the infrastructure is already in place and all the resources are there to deliver the ricin vaccine in a very short period of time. They could achieve 100% coverage of the population in very little time. The ricin in the vaccine will kill millions of billions of people very rapidly. There is no way of stopping it once it starts. The only way we can stop this Marburg epidemic from being touted by Bill Gates, Gavi, World Health Organization, and whoever else is behind it, is to stop taking the COVID vaccines. We must convince our friends, our relatives, everybody that it is the wrong thing to do. It will make them sicker. What they must rely on is their natural immunity. Build it back up with vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, and all the other minerals that are necessary. If they become sick with COVID, we have ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, which are very effective. We do not need a vaccine which is causing hemorrhagic fever symptoms. We must stop it immediately.